man enough? A question that has haunted generations of boys and men. But what does that even mean? Is it about strength, stoicism, financial success, control? Is it the ability to suppress tears, to protect others, even at the cost of your own well being? Or is it something darker, like the power to dominate, intimidate, and conquer? From locker rooms to living rooms, from schoolyards to corporate boardrooms, from Bollywood blockbusters to election rallies, this question lingers, sometimes as a joke, often as a challenge, but always as a burden. Masculinity isn't just about men. It shapes our laws, our culture, our relationships, and even our imagination. It tells us who gets to be heard, who gets to lead, who gets to be violent, and who gets to be vulnerable. Welcome to the Personal Lens, where we explore the political through the personal. I am your host, and today we are flipping the narrative, examining a truth that's often left out of feminist discourse. Patriarchy doesn't just hurt women, it harms men too. Because when masculinity becomes a cage, everyone suffers. We don't often realize that masculinity isn't just a personal identity, it's a political institution. It is taught, policed, performed, and rewarded. And more importantly, it is stratified. Some men are seen as more manly than others, while others are punished for failing to meet impossible standards. And mind you, masculinity, like femininity, is not innate, it's made. Masculinity isn't DNA, it's DIY. You are not born a real man, you're made into one. Raven Connell, the Australian sociologist, gave us a powerful term, hegemonic masculinity. It's not just about being male, it's performing the dominant, ideal version of masculinity, and it often demands what? Emotional suppression, physical strength, financial success, sexual assertiveness, homophobia, and transphobia to enforce narrow gender boundaries. It's like a recipe: 2 cups anger, 1 tablespoon tenderness, only if you score a goal, but mind you, zero tears allowed. From the time boys are toddlers, they are told, don't cry, don't whine, toughen up. If you scrape your knee, suck it up. If you lose a game, punch a wall, not yourself. This is not cute and it's not harmless. It's emotional sabotage. It's usually seen that men facing gender role conflict, that feeling of failing to live up to masculine ideals, were much less likely to seek help even when they needed it. And the consequences are heartbreaking. From early childhood, boys are taught that emotions, except anger, are unmanly. What happens then? Emotional bottling, economic pressure, social isolation. And this conditioning denies boys and men the full range of human emotion, causing long term psychological harm. Now, the breadwinner trap. The breadwinner ideal has its roots in colonial and industrial ideologies. Men were cast as providers and their worth became tied to their income. Even today, men without jobs are viewed with suspicion or disdain. This is not about individual failure, it's systemic. Capitalism and patriarchy work together to commodify masculinity. If you can't produce, you are not a real man. But what about the men who want to be caregivers or artists or stay at home dads? They are often ridiculed or perceived as emasculated. We've created such a narrow corridor for masculinity. Step outside it and the backlash is swift. Now imagine a man sitting at home because he lost his job. People don't just pity him, they judge him. Neighbors whisper, family members suggest he should take anything just to be productive. And it's systemic. It's not about being lazy. It's about a system that says if you're not earning, you're not a real man. Remember those marriage ads? Seeking well-settled boy? Nobody ever says seeking emotionally mature, empathetic men, right? Capitalism and patriarchy, besties, made a deal. Men will produce, women will reproduce. Deviate, face the consequences. Let's talk about what we see on screen and what we are taught to feel about masculinity through those images. Indian cinema, particularly mainstream Bollywood and regional mass entertainers, have long served as a mirror and amplifier of dominant masculine ideals. But that mirror is cracked, and what it reflects is often dangerous. Let's start with the emotional profile of the typical male lead: aggressive but emotionally repressed, possessive, sometimes violently so, avenging, often against real or imagined slights, in control of women, rivals, space, and narrative, and loved, despite or even because of his destructiveness. So basically, if you're angry, violent, brooding, and preferably possess a six pack, you're gold. Bollywood, Tollywood, Collywood, wherever you look, this template repeats. Let's look at some classic examples. Kabir Singh, medical student, obsessive, abusive, entitled. Slaps the woman he loves, drinks, smokes, spirals, but is still romanticized. Result: 300 crore rupees at the box office, despite protests, despite outrage, because somewhere it scratched an itch. The fantasy of being flawed and still rewarded with love. Now, fast forward to 2023, Animal. Ranbir Kapoor's character processes trauma with violence. Guns, roaring motorcycles, fists flying. Relationships framed as domination, disguised as protection. Still a blockbuster. Pushpa. Poverty to power through swagger, intimidation, and fists. Hypersexuality and emotional stunting glamorized. This isn't just entertainment, it's education. And the curriculum: real men don't apologize, they avenge. And mind you, these characters are not villains, they are heroes, which is the problem. This model of masculinity does not allow for healing, it only permits retaliation. But we need better stories, better heroes. We need male characters who seek therapy instead of revenge, apologize instead of dominating, love without controlling, show emotion without shame. Imagine a blockbuster where a man cries without a background score, without punching a wall right after. That's the revolution. Representation matters, not just for women and queer folks, but for men too. Because when toxic masculinity becomes the only model, it doesn't just harm women, it leaves men alone, angry, and unequipped to love or heal. So, what can be done? Mental health policies for men, most policies, treat men as perpetrators, not potential victims. But men also need emotional support, especially in contexts of violence, caste conflict, and poverty. Education and legal reform. Gender sensitization must include masculinity. Current frameworks often stop at women's rights, important but incomplete. For instance, the Protection of Women from Domestic Violence Act doesn't consider male victims of familial violence or emotional abuse. Neither does it engage with male children raised in abusive households under strict gender norms. Parental leave for fathers encouraging caregiving roles helps dismantle gendered labor expectations. Iceland, for example, has seen positive change through non transferable paternity leave. Imagine a masculinity that's tender, not tough. Fathers who stay home proudly, sons who cry freely, leaders who apologize sincerely. Imagine movies where a man's strength is measured not by the size of his biceps, but by the depth of his compassion. We owe boys, men, and ourselves a better world. A world where masculinity isn't a prison, it's a possibility. But what does a healthier masculinity look like? It's vulnerable, soft, strong in empathy, willing to cry, nurture, and collaborate. It rejects domination in favor of connection. The feminist movement must include men, not as saviors, but as co travelers, because true gender justice is collective. Masculinity, as we know it, is a cage, and it's time we broke it open. If you're a man listening to this, know that your pain is real. Your emotions are valid. Your identity is not tied to your income, aggression, or stoicism. And if you're a woman, know that patriarchy cannot be dismantled unless we free men too. Let's end this with a quote from Bell Hooks. The first act of violence that patriarchy demands of males is not violence towards women. Instead, patriarchy demands of all males that they engage in acts of psychic self mutilation, that they kill off the emotional parts of themselves. Thanks for joining me on the personal lens. Do not forget to subscribe, share, and continue with this conversation. Until next time, stay critical, stay compassionate, stay engaged. Break cages, build bridges as we keep looking through the personal lens.